Hey gang, John Baccarelli here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It is Wednesday, June 14th, and a big happy birthday to my cameraman and just all-around tech guy, Joshua, my son, who I'm very proud of and who is does all of our video editing. He's the videographer for this fishing report and for a lot of other things that we do. And I'm going to try not to get distracted on this because we're testing a new boom mic that's right over my head and just out of the frame, and I'm hoping it's not going to be too distracting. So anyways, enough of that. So yeah, June 14th, and water temperature at Belle Isle right now is down to 63 degrees. So it just keeps dropping. It's been dropping since this cold front came in. And so basically what's going on right now, guys, is that you guys know I do that, how I calculate temperature change and all that, where I take the high and the low and average it and then all that good stuff. I've explained that before. But anyway, so right now you've got a ton of cold water up in Lake Huron, and then obviously further north it gets colder and colder if you look at the temps up there. And so when we get a strong north wind and we don't get really warm temps to make up the difference, it basically flushes that warm water out of the lake, and it all goes down to Lake Erie, and it cools all the way down while it's going down there. But it's being replaced with that colder water from up there on Lake Huron, which is only in the 50s up there. And if you go farther north, some of those temps I saw were kind of crazy. But anyways, it's cold water that's coming down. And so it's refilling the lake. And when we don't have the warm, ambient temperatures, the daytime highs and the warm lows at night, then that lake just it'll drop. It'll lose a lot of temperature. It'll lose a lot of BTUs, and so the temperature's falling. So basically, you've got like low 60s all around the lake right now. And the weather forecast coming up has only got the daytime highs pushing maybe 80 degrees, and then the lows in the 50s at night. So that's not going to be enough to really change those lake temps out there, maybe for the next 10 days. It might bump up a little bit, but it's not really going to change much from where it is right now. So what that means is, one of the things is that the silverfish up there in the St. Clair River are probably going to stay longer, just because the water temp's going to stay cool up there, and it's not outside of their temperature range for sure. And it means that the mayfly hatch that was going strong out here in the lake and the topwater bite that it had created is probably going to slow down a little bit, although I do think we're going to be warm enough that the mayfly hatch might kick back in, and we're going to get some onshore winds towards the middle of next week that will probably see the mayfly hatch here on the American side, at least by our store, that we haven't seen all year yet, because the winds have been keeping those mayflies offshore. Places like Anchor Bay and then down on the south end of the lake going into Detroit and then down in the Monroe area have seen the flies because of the wind direction, but we have not inshore all along the lake, like by where our store is. So it's just going to be interesting to see how this progresses here and what it does to the fish and to the bug hatches and stuff like that. One of the things that we're seeing is that with the water temps not up as high as they should be around 70 or 70 plus right now out there on the lake. We're also not getting the little tiny, we call them fuzz noses, the little flies that you get coating all over the back of your boat out there sometimes in the summertime. We haven't seen those either, which means that a lot of the lower level forage, especially like your minnows and stuff, haven't had a whole lot to eat this year. So it's all part of that cycle, and right now it's a little out of whack. Now, with all of that said, it doesn't mean that the fishing is all out of whack. There's still action going on all over the lake, and honestly, these temperatures in the 60s are really comfortable for all of these fish out there right now, because all these cold water species fish in Michigan, they really thrive in the 60 degree water temp range. So all your largemouth, smallmouth, northern pike, muskies, perch, bluegills, pumpkin seeds, rock bass, sheephead, they all just really thrive on these temps, and it means that they're not going to necessarily have to go deep this time of the year or right now, because the water temps are just really nice in shallow as well. So the whole lake is pretty much a very similar water temp, which also means that the fish can be a little more spread out and can be a little more challenging for you guys. So one of the words of advice is definitely focus on structure, okay? And structure can take many different forms out here on the lake. It can be weeds, it can be rocks, it can be, color breaks, which it oftentimes is for you walleye guys. And now with this rain that we just had and the winds that we've had, you're going to probably see that we're going to have some mud lines again that are going to form along the American side here, especially downstream, so to speak, from like where the Clinton River dumps out, and by Harley, where the spillway dumps out into the lake, so going down towards the 400 Club, which means that you're probably going to get some more shallow water walleye action going on that some of you guys have been taking advantage of on and off, but I think it's going to be a little more consistent right now. Now, that's not to say that there isn't a ton of activity going on out by the channel. There is, all the way from the St. Clair Light all the way up into the South Channel. There have been lots of reports of limits of walleye and perch out there. So even the DNR report had the perch out there, listed as one of the things going on. And I know a lot of you guys have been taking advantage of that. Now, there's something also to remember. You don't have to go all the way out there near the channel to get the perch. There are plenty of weed beds that are going to be out off of the mile roads in the deeper water out there, 12 to 14 feet, that are also going to produce perch. There's also generally at this time of the year, especially when the mayfly hatch gets going, there's also a really shallow water perch bite that gets going too. It's usually an early morning thing, but you get like pods of really big perch in and along the shoreline on the American side, and then sometimes even like places like the Metro Park and places like that, you will see pods of these big perch in that clear water even that are going to be moving around, that are going to be picking up mayflies that are all along the shoreline that build up when we get the winds, and just basically because there's mayflies all over the shore. So that's another pattern that you can take advantage of, and especially for you shore anglers this time of the year, you can literally walk that shoreline and hunt down these schools of perch as they move along feeding on those mayflies, which is really cool to see. But I don't know what kind of clear water you're going to have right now after the weather we just had, so we'll have to wait and see. The other thing that's going to happen with the rains that we just have is we finally got a flow out of the spillway and out of the Clinton River that is, we've been in a drought now for like 3 weeks. So the catfish bite for you guys like Dennis Anderson that I know that loves to catch these cats, especially by the spillway there is going to be a really good cat bite probably going on right now as I'm doing this report. So if there's any of those guys down there, I'm sure they're catching fish right now because that flow is finally pushing out, and there hasn't been a flow coming out of there for like 3 to 4 weeks. And so these fish are going to feed crazy, and that bite is going to get really good coming right out of there, out of the spillway. So if you're a shore angler, I would get down there and check that out and take advantage of that. Now, you guys know I follow a lot of charter captains like Garrett Samsel and Joe Bauer and Jason Quintano, and I know Garrett is up there right now still doing multi-species, and he's still getting limits of walleye and then getting his customers on smallies too. So that proves that, for you guys that you can still do, kind of double limits, multi-species activity out there. And you also got the muskies now as well. So there's a lot to keep you going up there, especially up there on that north end. Joe Bauer is mostly focusing on smallmouth, and I know some of these guys, this weekend is the smallmouth opener here on the lake, so I'm sure there's going to be some tournaments going on. And if you guys are inclined to keep a trophy, you'll be able to do that. But definitely this is the time of the year when we see the tournament activity pick up out here as well. Now, the muskie guys like Captain Quintano with Fins and Grins have been going out there. They've already been getting more than a few 50-plus inch fish out there. Although I got to agree with Jason. I saw one of his pictures that the fish are looking a little beat up after a long kind of extended spawn with the cold temps this spring. So you guys are going to want to take extra time reviving these fish, although the cooler water temps will definitely help so the fish don't get as stressed during the fight in these cooler temps. But the fish are a little on the weak side coming out of that spawn. So take some extra care with these fish as you're releasing them guys out there for all you muskie guys. Walleye bite is definitely turned into a big harness bite up there in the St. Clair River. Although, again, with the rains that we've just had and some of the winds, when we get that new satellite image, I'm going to expect that we're going to see some color in the water again. That's going to be great for you guys that like to jig. I think that's going to increase the bite out there for you guys. I know it's been a little up and down. It's been like really sporadic. When there's a bite, it's like, even for the whippers, it's been like a short duration window, and you got to really get those fish, and it's crazy when they're biting, but then it tends to peter out really quick as well. But I think the color that we're going to get in the water now from the rain and some of the winds that we've had, it's going to extend that bite, make it a little more consistent for everybody, whether you're up there whipping, casting from shore, or jigging. It's not going to matter. Pulling cranks, you're going to have some color in the water finally, that you're going to be able to key on out there to focus on those fish. For you guys chasing smallies, there's still a lot of males that are in tight or tighter, that are doing their post-spawn nest guarding activities. The big hens, though, have really tended to move out deeper. The guys that have been coming into the shop the last week, they've been getting most of those big fish, like the 4+ and 5+ out in that 12 to 14 feet of water. I would expect that's going to continue. But like I said, that mayfly hatch may pick back up and give you a topwater bite again. But the weather looks awesome going forward here. The next 10 days is basically, I think there's one more day with a chance of thunderstorms, and then we're going to get into an east to southeast flow, but on the lighter side, and dry temps, or not dry temps, but dry conditions again. But like I said, low 80s for high and 50s for nighttime temps. So we're going to get like some really gorgeous weather again. So it looks like going forward, it's going to be great fishing out here on St. Clair. We're going to have to adjust a little bit to the water temperature change, but there's still plenty of fish to be caught out there and plenty of opportunities. And with the smallmouth opener this weekend, we will see you at the store this weekend. Hey, if you like this video content and you want to get updated as soon as the next video is out there, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon, and you'll get notified as soon as the next video is up.